Hi, my name's Haecker. I'm the professor of trombone at East Tennessee State University. And today we're going to be talking about practicing. Yes, we all know about the importance of practicing. It's been beaten into us by our band directors and our private teachers for years now. But what we're going to talk about today is the best ways to practice. That what I found is that a good even 15-20 minutes of quality practice is often better than an hour of practice that's kind of unfocused. So we're going to work on getting to that point. The first thing that I would recommend is come up with a strategy for what you want to practice in that practice session. So we're all really busy people, right? We have school, we have jobs, we have social lives, we have things that we'd rather do than sit in a little room playing the trombone. So we know we need to practice, so what we need to do is make sure that that practice is as efficient as possible so that we can accomplish as much as we can in as little time as we can. So what I do is I make a plan. Let's say I'm going to practice for a half hour. That's all, just a half hour. But I'm going to make sure that that half hour is as efficient as it can be. So the first part of that half hour, I'm going to address fundamentals on the trombone. This is very important. This is something we need to do every single day, like brushing our teeth or eating our vegetables. We need to practice our fundamentals because that's really what makes us better players in the long run. And these fundamentals can be anything. Mine change over time depending on what I want to work on. Sometimes I'll practice long tones. Sometimes I'll practice articulation. Sometimes I'll practice multiple tonguing. I often practice flexibility because I get a lot out of doing that. But I want to make sure that I do it every day. And so I'll set up a regiment where I might do some flexibility every day for a couple of weeks. Just some really simple etudes, like stuff that's out of, say, the Remington warm-ups, something like this. And so on down the slide. I would highly recommend getting the Remington warm-ups. There's a lot of great fundamental exercises in there. And if you pick one or two of those exercises every day and spend time on them, that's a great way to work on your fundamental playing. So we've worked on fundamentals, and now I'm going to take a little bit of a break and go get some water, go look out the window, come back in a couple of minutes, and now I'm ready to practice some real actual music. So the way that I'm going to go about this is, again, really plan exactly what it is that I'm going to work on. So if I'm going to work on an entire piece of music, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I'm just going to play from beginning to end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one small section and work on it really, really well, as opposed to just kind of halfway working on the entire piece. And what I found is that's a great way to get more accomplished. So for our purposes today, we're going to listen to something that has been in my folder for a while. It's the Stokowski Fantasy. And I'm going to play the opening lick to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to practice it right now in front of you and talk you through what I'm doing. And notice I'm not going to spend a great deal of time. We're going to do this for like maybe 5 minutes. But I can get more done in that 5 minutes by practicing this way than I can if I just play through it over and over again. So first of all, let me play through what we're going to work on today. Okay, that's the opening to the Stokowski. And what we're going to do is just talk about that. So first thing I'm going to do is break that down and just work on one section at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on the first measure. And one way that you can do it is first just sing the rhythm. So I'll put on a metronome. For right now though, I'll just keep the beat and I'll just sing the rhythm. Ta, 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 ta. And what I'll do is I'll do that 3 or 4 times. Ta, 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 ta. Da 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 da. All right. So I've sung through that a few times, and I feel very confident that I'm doing it accurately with the rhythm. So what I'll do now is I'll play it, but instead of playing the notes on the page, I'm just going to play it on one pitch. Usually the first pitch is fine. that to where I feel comfortable with it. And I'm also really thinking about phrasing too and how I want to phrase it. And of course, when I'm not having to worry about changing notes, it's real easy to kind of hear the way the phrase kind of works rhythmically. So now that I've done that a few times, I'm going to go back now and I'm going to play the notes as they're written on the page. So, as you probably heard, I chipped one of the notes the first time. I wish I could say that I did that on purpose, but I didn't. But that's okay. The repetition will take care of itself over time. Missing notes is all right. It's all right to be a part of that. That's why we learn. We're not practicing to sound really good for people in the hallway. We're practicing to get better. So therefore, sometimes it's just not going to sound great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that section over and over again until I feel really comfortable with it. Okay? So that's taken what? Maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Now I'm going to go take another break. Go get some water. Go talk to a friend. Go walk around the hallway a little bit and look in windows and bug other people. And now I'm going to come back and I'm ready to do the next section. So the next section goes like this. So again, repetitive, repetitive, repetitive motion. Now I'm going to take what I did before and I'm going to combine that with what I just worked on. So this is how I will systematically work on this piece. I'll take just a couple of measures at a time and I'll really look at them in depth and I'll ask myself, what is it about this that is hard? And I'll really try to just focus on that. If it's the rhythm, I'll sing out the rhythm. If it's playing into the higher register, I'll work on the intervals leading up to that. And then I'll try to put it all together. And what you're going to find is your practice time will be more efficient, first of all. Secondly, you won't have to spend as much time practicing and you'll still get a lot done. And third, you'll feel really good about what you've done and you'll retain it for the next time you come back to the piece. So I hope that you found this helpful. I would encourage you to try it at your next practice session. Just write out exactly what you're going to do in that session. I'm going to work on long tones, and then I'm going to work on flexibility, and then I'm going to work on fast tonguing, and then I'm going to work on these 4 measures of my solo, or of my etude, or of the all-state audition piece, or whatever. And just work on that intensely. And do that for about 20 minutes, and then evaluate how much you've accomplished. And I think what you're going to find is that you've accomplished a lot more than if you just play it over and over and over again. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, that good practicing really comes down to concentration. So it's important to find a place to practice where there's no distractions, no TV, no one bothering you, it's quiet, and you can just really concentrate on what you're doing. Concentration is a skill just like any other skill, and it takes time to really learn how to concentrate for long periods of time. So start out slowly. Try to say, I'm going to concentrate and work intently for maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And then kind of stop and shake it off, and then try 1 or 2 minutes again of just working on one measure, or even just one interval, and just make sure it's perfect. So if I was doing something like this, I might just say work on that one lick. And I'll do that for 45 seconds, 1 minute. But what I'm doing is I'm putting my full concentration into that. And then I'll stop. And then I'll go back and I'll put that into context. And that way, the stuff that I was working on is retained into my head, as opposed to just trying to run it and run it and run it and hope that something will stick in there through the repetition of running the piece. So, good luck with your practicing. I encourage you to check out East Tennessee State University. We'd love to have you come and see what we're up to. If I can be of any more help, please feel free to send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And please check back in the future for other, hopefully helpful videos. Happy practicing.